Christmas is a time for tradition. It's the little things that we do each year that make us look forward to the season, and it's a way to create memories. For me, making cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning is something that my family looks forward to. I'm Jen Adams, and today I'd like to share with you my recipe for Christmas morning cinnamon rolls. Let's get started. So there's only a few ingredients to this recipe, but it's the steps that are important. We're starting with 2 cups of whole milk over a medium heat. We're going to add a half a cup of vegetable oil and a half a cup of granulated sugar. Let's just give that a nice stir. We're going to cook that for a few minutes so it's nice and hot, but we don't want it to boil. So we let our mixture cook, and I removed it from the heat, and the next thing we're going to do is add our yeast. This is what's going to help make the dough rise. And I'm using an instant yeast. It helps it just rise a little bit faster because we all are so busy. And then we're going to let it sit for 1 minute. Now we're going to add the flour. We need 3 cups, 3.5 cups. And I'm just using all-purpose flour. 1, 2, 3.5. Let's just give that a mix. Make sure it's all incorporated. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put this in a warm place in the kitchen for about an hour. Cover it with a clean kitchen towel, and that'll give us perfect time to make the filling for inside these cinnamon rolls. Let's put our towel on it and set it aside for an hour. So let's make our filling for the cinnamon rolls. We need a cup of granulated sugar. You can go a little heavy on that if you want to dip back in there. A cup of butter, softened, and that's 2 sticks. Save these. We're going to need those in a little bit. You know I like my cinnamon, so we are going to add 2 heaping tablespoons of ground cinnamon to our mixture. Remember, these are cinnamon rolls, so we need cinnamon. And then just mix it up. And the reason I do it this way is because I find when you use the melted butter and you pour it all over the dough, it tends to run out the sides and get all over the counter, and that's not where we want it. We want it inside our roll. So just work it. It'll take a couple minutes, and then you'll have a nice spreadable consistency. Look how good that looks. Perfect. Now remember, I told you to save your wrappers. And the reason for that is you're going to use the butter to coat the pans, because you want to make sure that you can get these rolls out Christmas morning. This is what our grandparents used to do before they had that stuff in the can. You know what I mean? And it has better flavor. All set? Okay, let's take a look. Ooh, it's risen. And we're going, look at that. Now we just need to add 1 more cup of flour and a half a teaspoon of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of salt. Make sure this gets all incorporated. Takes a few stirs and it'll come together. Then we can roll out our dough. Okay, this is the fun part. We finally get to roll out our dough. Just need a little flour on our board, on our hands, and on our rolling pin. And we're going to try to roll it out in a nice large rectangle. For some reason, somewhere along the line, someone once said, just roll it in one direction so that you're not making the dough tough. So that's what I do. I don't know if it works, but they come out okay. We just want to make sure that we have enough flour, not too much because we don't want to make it tough, but we want to stretch it out because we want to make plenty of rolls for the whole family. Okay. I'm just going to use my edge here to just straighten it out a little bit. And then we're going to take our cinnamon, sugar, and butter mixture and just put some dollops all on the dough. And as you can see, nothing's running out the edges. And then just spread it out. You want to leave a little edge. And this way you know every bite will have some cinnamon and sugar in it. Then you want to start on the edge that's away from you and just start rolling it tight, going back and forth. And you're making your rolls. And then when you get to the edge here, you want to pinch your dough in a nice tight seam and then flip it over so the bottom is covered. Okay, and then you just have a nice log of yumminess. Okay, I'm gonna cut them in half and then about 1.5 inches each roll. And then we're gonna put it into our buttered baking dish. Look at all that cinnamon and sugar. You don't wanna overcrowd them because they will puff up. Now let's just put them on the counter for about 20 minutes before we put them into a 375-degree oven for about 15 minutes. Okay, let's make the icing for on top of our cinnamon buns. So we have 3.5 cups of confectionery sugar, and that's about 1 box. And then I just put in a 1/2 stick of butter, and to that I'm going to add a tablespoon of vanilla, a pinch of salt, and about 1/4 cup, give or take, of milk. And then you're just gonna keep whisking until it becomes a nice, smooth icing. It's gonna take a little effort. And some things that you can do instead of just having it plain like this, you could substitute the milk for maple syrup, coffee, or orange juice, and then add a little orange zest. All those would be really good on top of these cinnamon rolls. Our consistency is perfect. Look at that drizzle. And I think our cinnamon rolls are just about done. Do they smell good? Okay, now let's drizzle this very generously over our cinnamon buns. I wish you could smell this. And the great thing about these buns is that you can make them the day before, and then in the morning, Christmas morning, just pop them in the oven and your house will have this delicious scent. And all that goodness is going to go in between the layers, this with a cup of coffee. I hope you will try this with your family and enjoy them on a Christmas morning.